I remember the wedding was about to start and I left the bride's room as quick as possible and put on my suit. And let's just say during the wedding, when all of us were watching this bride walk down the aisle, out of nowhere, she decides to look at me and yell, "Baba, I can't do this." And she runs away. At this moment, I realized I got this whole wedding canceled. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Baba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing, but I gotta say, story that I feel super bad about. Because I remember this story takes place 2 years ago. Now, 2 years ago, as you guys may know, I was on here making videos. I was telling story times and all that, and to be honest, I kind of cut out a lot of people in my IRL life, other than the friends with benefits and sneaky links that I had. Because obviously, to this day, I still do the Devil's Tango. But I remember 2 years ago specifically, there was a time where out of nowhere, I ended up getting a phone call. Now, this was when I was actually streaming, funny enough, on the purple platform, and I was just streaming, doing my own thing, and yelling at chat. But then out of nowhere, as I saw my phone was ringing, I looked at it, and I noticed it was from someone that I knew back in high school. Now, the person that was calling me was, funny enough, a girl that I went to high school with, and she was like a really genuine person, but she was also my old sneaky link. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, like maybe she just wants to come over and just do the Devil's Tango and like start it back up. I mean, I'm down. But then afterwards, I remember when stream ended, I ended up getting the phone call again. Now, I didn't know what to do, so I just decided to answer it, and I put the phone up to my ear and said, hello? Hey, Baba, is that you? Yeah, what's going on? Well, I don't know if anyone told you, but, you know, it's been a minute, and I was just wondering, do you want to get invited to something? Invited to something? What do you mean invited? Like, to what? Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm getting married. When she said that, I was mind blown. The fact that this girl wanted to invite her old high school sneaky link to her wedding, man, that's gotta be a foul play, because that's crazy to me. So when I heard this, I remember I kind of just decided to play it cool and say, yeah, sure. Who are you getting married to? Oh, I don't know if you remember this guy. And she ended up saying the name of a guy that used to actually make fun of me back in high school. Now, back in high school, I wasn't really made fun of a lot. Don't get me wrong, because I was a massive player that everyone knew about. But this one guy specifically that this woman was marrying was the biggest, like, jerk ever. Like, no joke, randomly, he would just pick on anybody, and he was just not a good guy. Like, the fact that this girl was marrying him just blew my mind. At this moment, I started kind of laughing over the phone, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, good for you. I mean, like, yeah, I'll join the wedding. Just send me an invite. And then this girl decided to text me the whole invitation that she had, and honestly, I decided to go. Now, I don't know about you guys, comment down below, but would you guys ever go to, like, a wedding of, like, your previous sneaky link or, you know, ex-girlfriend? Because, I don't know, for me, I didn't really care, because, like, it's not like I was doing bad in life. It wasn't like I was embarrassed of who I was, so I just decided to say, you know what, like, screw it, let's just go and see what goes on. And I remember as 2 weeks went by and it was the day of the wedding, that's when I knew it was showtime. I ended up getting my best suit on. I ended up, you know, basically looking really good, and I even put on like a couple chains, you know, just to flex a little bit, like, you know, hey, like, I'm Bubba, like, I'm doing good in life. Because remember, I haven't seen many of these guys since high school. And I remember right as I pull up with my car, and at the time I was driving a Jaguar, so you already know when I pulled up, like, a lot of people were looking at me like, whoa, like, wait a second, who's this? And I come out of the car, and instantly I ended up seeing some old high school friends, and they look at me saying, yo, wait, what? Bubba, is that you? Hey, like, what's going on? Dude, no one's heard of you, like, since high school, man. What you been up to? You know, just online stuff, just, you know, social media. Oh, yeah, like, I've heard about that. Like, you tell, like, the stories from back then, right? Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Dude, that's crazy, man. Like, congrats. And basically, like, long story short, they were just congratulating me on everything, even though most of them said I would never make it online. But thanks to you guys proved them wrong. And this is where the story gets insane. And by insane, I mean actually crazy. Because I remember as we all walked into the church of, like, the wedding that was happening, we all basically sat down the aisle, sitting and waiting, and, you know, having a couple, like, you know, snacks here and there that was being passed around. And as I was talking to some people, I realized that I had to go to the bathroom. So when I got up and went to the bathroom, I remember right before I went inside, I ended up seeing the bride that, you know, was my old sneaky link. She was standing on the side, and she noticed me and said, "Psst, Baba, is that you? Oh my goodness. Hey, like, what's going on?" And as I walked towards her, she ends up basically running back into her room, and I followed into her room right behind her. And as I got inside with her, I remember me and her, we started talking to each other, basically catching up on everything. And then she says, "OMG, like, I can't believe you actually showed up. I wasn't sure if you were." Well, I mean, you sent me an invite. Obviously, I would. That's actually kind of crazy. Like, now that I really think about it, it's like inviting a celebrity. Now, this moment, I was kind of like trying to be humble because, like, I get it, you know, having a big social media following is cool and all, but I'm still the same guy. Like, I'm still doing the Devil's Tango and basically being a massive player. And as I was like, you know, basically being humble, I guess she kind of like got closer to me and closer to the point where we started kind of almost talking about back then about how we always did the Devil's Tango. And that's when I realized she got so close to me to the point where we made out. We made out in the room where she was supposed to be getting ready to be a bridesmaid to get married to someone else. It was so insane, and it got to the point where one thing led to another. Since she was barely wearing anything, by the way, we ended up just doing the devil's tango right then and there in the church, in the room where she was supposed to get dressed. Honestly, my mind was blown. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And on top of that, since we were at church, you already know I was going to confess my sins after, because this was really just too far. But then mid devil's tango, out of nowhere, we ended up hearing 3 knocks on the door and someone saying, "Are you almost ready? The wedding's about to start soon." And at that moment, I looked at her and she looks at me and she says, "OMG, Bubba, what am I doing? I'm getting married." And she basically ended up like pushing me off and started getting ready as fast as she could. Me, all I had to do was pull my pants up. So that's what I did. And I basically walked out of there. And one of her friends that I guess was like one of her bridesmaids at the time looked at me and walked up to me saying, Bubba, what were you doing in there?" "Oh, nothing. I was just telling her to get ready. Apparently like she needed that." "Oh, I just told her to get ready though." "Yeah, I know. I was in there basically telling her like good luck and everything." "Oh, okay. Well, go sit down. It's about to start." And at that moment, I was walking back to the aisle that I was supposed to be sitting at, and I was just shaking. Knowing what I just did to this bridesmaid right before her wedding really made me feel bad, but at the same time, I didn't really know what to think. I walked into the aisles and I sat down beside my buddies that I knew back in high school. And when they were all like asking me like, where did I go? Like, why was I gone for so long? Like, did I get lost? And all I said was, "Oh no, I just had to finish some like, business, I guess." They all started chuckling and laughing as if they knew what they were talking about, but in reality, I guess they really didn't. And at that moment, I remember as I was sitting there, I ended up seeing the groom, aka the bully that was back in my high school that used to always pick on me, go and stand on top of the stage. And when I looked at him, he looked at me eye to eye and his eyes opened wide. He acted like he just saw a ghost. And that wasn't even the worst part, because I think where things really went bad was when the bride starts walking down the aisle. And as the bride's walking down, out of nowhere, she ends up looking at me and locking eyes with me as she was walking down. And it was very noticeable that she was looking at me, because even her own groom that was on stage noticed that she was looking at me and confused. And then out of nowhere, this bride ends up just standing in place right as she was walking down the aisle out of nowhere. And she continues to look at me and says, "Bubba, I can't do this." And she runs away. At that moment, I realized I just ruined and canceled a whole wedding, bro. Like, I felt so bad. And at that moment, I remember both of their parents, like in the front of the aisles, just start standing up looking at me as if I did something wrong. And what did I do in that situation? Well, I kind of just stood up and said, "Okay, I don't know what's going on, but I'll be right back." And I ran away with her. I'm not joking. I ended up running right behind her and I ended up chasing her down in front of the church. And I looked at her and said, "What are you doing? This is literally your wedding, bro." "Bubba, after doing you, I just like realized like I can't do this. Like I'm not ready to be married." "What do you mean?" "Bubba, I'm only like 22. Like I don't know what we're doing." "Listen, look at me. You got this. Just go down the aisle and get married. Just do it." In a way, I guess I was sounding like Shia LaBeouf from Transformers right there, because, well, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get in severe trouble. And in a way, this girl, she ended up basically, I guess, gaining some confidence out of me telling her that. And she decided to go back in there and she finally got married. How do I know this? Well, I actually don't, if I'm being honest, because I didn't go back in there. There was no way I could walk back into that church after knowing what I did. I don't know. Am I really the bad guy for what happened? If I am, then fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.